Can
you share some of the guidelines of when and how the Sharia can be tweaked? In specific, I'm wondering, Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiallahu anhu, how did he understand that he was able to change the 3 divorce rule into 3 separate divorces, as opposed to, the well-known principle during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Crystal clear. Question says, could you give some examples when and if the Sharia can be tweaked or adjusted, or when there's some type of flexibility in the rulings, such as the concept of divorcing a woman 3 times in one sitting and it only being counted as 1 divorce, instead of Umar radiallahu anhu saying that it now counts as 3 divorces, etc. We say that first and foremost, there's a difference between the Sharia and its ruling and the difference between the application of the ruling. The rule being one thing and its application being something else. There's a difference between the two. So let's make an example of this, which is relative to our times. There is a young lady who accepts Islam. And let's say she lives in a far remote place from the main city, from indigenous Muslims or Muslims who've migrated from other countries. She's far from the masjid, maybe somewhere way out in the Midwest or far up north or far down south. There are no Muslims where she is. And she wants to be a Muslim. She watched a YouTube video and she took her shahada. So the moment that she says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, the moment she makes the kalima of Tawheed and she believes in it, and she's 16 years old, or 17 years old, or 19 years old, the moment she makes that shahada, she is a believing woman. And she has to wear what? Hijab. It's obligatory upon her. And pray and everything else. The moment she becomes a Muslim. However, one may say that if she puts on the khimar, her family would kick her out. And if she's kicked out of her home, where would she go and live? In a shelter? On the street? They may abuse her. They may cut her off. They may not give her no food, no money. They may try to beat her up. They may take her to a mental hospital. They may force some type of surgery or force her to take some type of pills. Or to go to a psychiatrist and says she's mentally ill. She's a Muslim. She's going to be a terrorist, so on and so on and so forth. So one may say in this situation, you don't have to wear your khimar. In this situation, until you move out, until you get married, until you go to school and you're far away from your parents. You go outside, you pray, you lock your door, wear your khimar. You go to the dinner table, don't wear your khimar. In this situation, but the ruling of Allah and His Messenger has not changed from over 1400 years ago, and that is, when a woman is of age, she must at least wear a khimar. She must cover her awrah. So the ruling hasn't changed, and the ruling has not and cannot be tweaked. But the application of the ruling for this specific woman in this specific situation could possibly be tweaked. Clear on that? I feel that's a much easier example than the concept of the 3 divorces with regards to Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. So that's first and foremost. And there are many, many examples like that. There are many other what? Examples like that. Let's say, for example, there's a security guard or a police officer or someone who works in the airport and he's a Muslim. But he has to hide his Islam to protect them from oppressing Muslims. And if they knew he was a Muslim, they would kick him out of the system. He sees someone with a Muslim name, he sees you come through the airport, let this guy go. Let him through. Don't harass him. Don't allow him to miss his flight. For example. But if they knew he was a Muslim, he wouldn't have the ability and they would just continue to oppress Muslims. Doesn't mean it's permissible to shave your beard. Doesn't mean it's permissible not to recognize yourself as a Muslim. But in certain situations. Clear on that? As far as Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, then there's several different issues here. First and foremost is, Umar radiallahu anhu had a special status. The Prophet ﷺ says, indeed, there were people who came before you, Nas, that were what? That had inspiration from Allah Azza wa Jal. فَإِن يَكُمْ فِي أُمَّتِي أَحَدٌ فَعُمَرٌ. He says, if there any one of these people in my nation who has this divinely guided intuition, then it is Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. So he had a special virtue, a high amount of knowledge, and divinely guided intuition. In which he would say something, he would feel something, and Allah will confirm it. In which he would say something or feel something, and the Prophet will confirm it. That's firstly. Secondly, there is a hadith that states, فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِسُنَّتِي وَسُنَّةِ الْخُلَفَاءِ الرَّاشِدِينَ الْمَهْدِيِّينَ. Hold fast to my sunnah and the sunnah of the rightly guided caliphs. And ulama have 2 main interpretations about this hadith. The first is pertaining to the 4, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Umar al-Faruq, Uthman ibn Affan, Dhul Nurayn, and Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu ta'ala anhum wa ardahum. And others, they say, any Khalifa who is Rashid, who is rightly guided. No doubt that on both interpretations clearly applies to Umar radiallahu anhu. Last but not least, there's a difference between the ruler, the qadi, the hakim, and the Islamic court system, and seeing that people are abusing a thing and disrespecting a thing. And there's something which could be open to the ijtihad of the ruler, but the original ruling remains sacred and it remains divine, such as flogging a drunkard, or such as allowing the divorce to be 1 versus 3. From one aspect, if a man says that his wife is divorced 3 times, it's 3 divorces from one aspect, hypothetically. And from another aspect, a man only intends to divorce his wife once. So the people that keep abusing talaq, they keep rushing and hastening forth to divorce their wives over the smallest, simplest reason. So the ruler, he says, you know what? We're going to apply it literally as it is, until the people slow down and give respect to the room that Allah has originally what? Giving them. So these are some of the interpretations with regards to what Umar radiallahu anhu did here. The drunkard, how many times? 40 times versus 80 times. The other end of Uthman, and many other aqdiyah, judgments of the companions. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he says, we will fight these people who refuse to give the zakah. And Umar radiallahu anhu, he says, how can you fight them? And they say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And we all know what Abu Bakr said. And we all know how Umar radiallahu anhu submitted to what Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had decided. So there's details with regards to the rule of the Khalifa and the rules that he makes. And are those rules solid, or are they meant to be flexible? One asks the question, what's the purpose of flogging the drunkard? Except to do what? What's the wisdom of flogging a drunkard? Someone who drinks. What's the wisdom? A deterrent, without a question. As Uthman radiallahu anhu is quoted to have said, listen to this athar. It says that Uthman radiallahu anhu said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَزَعُ بِالسُّلْطَانِ مَا لَا يَزَعُ بِالْقُرْآنِ. He says that Allah will deter people from making haram acts with the ruler much more than He will with the Quran. The Quran says don't drink alcohol, but people still want to drink it until what? The ruler's force is on their back. Everyone understand this? So the main wisdom of this ruling is to get people to stop drinking alcohol, or at least stop drinking alcohol publicly. Stop coming out of their houses and their homes in a drunken state. It's not okay. If you have a problem with alcoholism, hide in your house. Drink it and keep it away from our eyes. So 40 isn't enough. They keep drinking. So we have to take it up to 80. Harsher laws sometimes when there's what? People don't take the lesson in the original law. So when we talk about law and legislature in and outside of Islam, that's a detailed discussion. The Constitution, has it changed? But the application of it, state to state, city to city, town to town, borough to borough, may what? May change for those reasons. Tougher gun laws in this city because there's more violence. More lenient gun laws in this city because there's what? Less violence. And the whole purpose of the law and managing who can and cannot have a gun is to prevent people from becoming victims of those guns. And Allah knows best.
When a ruling is tweaked, right? It is only meant to be tweaked until the people leave the condition that created the tweaking of the ruling, right?
Yes and no, because we never really said that the ruling can be tweaked. We said the application.
I mean, so when a ruling is when the application of a ruling is tweaked, due to the condition that the people are in, once the people are out of that condition.
No question. She has to wear hijab.
Okay.
It's clearly, no question. Even if it's not that bad of an issue, if they're going to make fun of you and you're going to go through some hardships, you say you have to what? Wear hijab. Once there was a question I was asked about a sister who accepted Islam and her parents are mushriks. And if they see her praying, they'll beat her. They'll physically beat her up. And I answered the question that says, pray in the bathroom. Go in the bathroom and lock the door and pray. So obviously there were many people. And we know that YouTube, alhamdulillah, is one of the greatest sources for scholars in Islam. That's the reality. There are many people, they start commenting on the thing, Astaghfirullah, how could you say pray in the bathroom? A'udhu billah, it's haram to pray in the bathroom. How could you say that? And they miss the simple basic point, is that it's a means of what? Utter necessity. They want to beat her up. And if they beat her up, what's the chances of her leaving Islam? High or low? Without a question. A new shahada is weak. So we have to use wisdom, but it doesn't mean that it's the normal rule for you to pray in the bathroom.
Because some people might take it like once the
No, it's detailed. No. Even if it's not that bad, if they pray, they'll make fun of you. Or let's say they'll throw something at you. You gotta pray. That's not the same as them beating you up and breaking your bones. Them taking you and trying to put you in a crazy house, a mental institution. And fitna, yani. Fitna from the deen and get you to go back to kufr. That's a different story. That's a what? Different story. And Allah knows best.